Modern life is pretty comfortable for most of us. We don't really face a lot of adversity or any sort of real danger on a day-to-day basis. And although this is a pretty good deal, this level of comfort tends to make us soft and complacent. And as the saying goes, comfort is where dreams go to die. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why it's important for you to apply pressure on yourself, especially if you want to keep an edge on life. I recently got back from a trip to Guadalajara, Mexico, where it was my first time visiting. And what I saw there served as a reminder, first, to be thankful for everything I have, and second, as to how extremely blessed we are for living in a first world country. The resources and facilities that we often take for granted here are a luxury over there. I saw a lot of people in the middle of the day, scorching sun, walking barefoot on the highway, dressed in their working clothes because they didn't have a car. And that was so normal over there. And there was no complaining. It was an everyday thing, and they just did it because they had no other choice. That's what they had to do. And it's a huge contrast to over here, where people lose their minds because the power went out for an hour and they don't have any AC. Like silly things like that. And this is a good example of how comfort destroys your stress tolerance. I know a lot of people here who wouldn't be able to deal with that, but over there it's a pretty normal occurrence. I'm not a fan of using the terms entitled or privilege, but most first world problems are BS compared to those living conditions, even where I came from. So from Puerto Rico is not as bad as Mexico, but it still has rough areas, and power outages are still a thing. Like, government's corrupt as hell. It has a lot of issues. And then when I came over here, everything is so easy. It's way easier. And yet there's a lot of people that complain that life is too hard, or they adopt this victim mentality that prevents them from growing in life. Because if you've never been tested, if you've never been placed under real pressure, then these are the type of people who fold when the going gets tough. And I believe it's also related to the fact that people who have difficult upbringings or rough childhoods tend to be more prepared for the challenges that life throws their way. So if you start to become aware that you're at a point in your life where you're comfortable with your income level, comfortable with your physical appearance, comfortable with your relationships, I strongly encourage you to look at the mirror and think if it's because you are truly content with that, or is it because you are avoiding the discomfort that going for that next level is going to bring to you. And if you realize that you actually are avoiding that pain, but you want to go after anyways, then you have to start finding ways to apply pressure to yourself physically, mentally, or even financially. I'm going to give an example off the top of my head. Modern advice promotes, living below your means, being risk averse, but there's a lot of people who perform their best or rise to the challenge when their backs are up against the wall. And there's really no reason for them to be in that situation unless they put themselves against the wall. And this is kind of what I'm trying to get you guys to think and apply for your particular situation. Think of what ways can you start to test your limits and push them. For example, let's say that you're trying to build a business and you're working on it on the evenings, on the afternoons, but you're too tired to work on it after you got home from your 9 to 5. Well, if you had a big project due the next day for your 9 to 5, you'd probably stay up late working on that project. How come you can't do that for your business? See, this is the limits that I want you to think about and try to find, because unless you make an effort, you're not going to push those boundaries higher and allow you to expand your tolerance. Think of how many hours can you go without getting sleep? How many 14-hour work days in a row can you pull off? When you're working out, can you do 500 push-ups without quitting on a single day? How long can you run before you stop? Like, these are all things like the mind will tell you to stop way before the body is actually at its breaking point. And our lives are so sheltered today that unless you deliberately make an effort to find those boundaries, you probably will never be aware of your full potential. It is the only time where you're going to know if you're the type of person who folds and crumbles or the type of person who thrives and conquers. And that's what I'm trying to steer you towards. And nothing gives you more confidence than being 100% sure of who you are. And that's my message for tonight's video. Let me know what you guys think, whether you agree or disagree. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Anything you need, hit me up in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.